Hi, welcome to Neighborhood News. Today on the show, I have some folks from TVCCA who will talk about senior nutritional programs. My first guest is Eugene Theroux, who's the director of senior nutrition programs.
Yes.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So first of all, one of your biggest programs is Meals on Wheels.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Who do you serve? What towns?
Our town, we go from East Lyme to Pawcatuck, so basically the whole coast, southeast Connecticut, New London, Groton. And who we service, it's individuals that are 60 years or older and are homebound.
Okay, so is there any type of financial requirement?
Not for this program, no.
Okay, just that you're homebound.
Correct.
And so if someone wanted to receive a meal, how would they do that?
They can actually visit tvcca.org and visit on the website that does have our contact information and more information about the program.
Okay, so right now Frank has your name up and he has your email, so people could email you directly if that's
correct.
okay.
Yes.
And tvcca.org. What does TVCCA stand for?
Thames Valley Council for Community Action.
Okay, because you're a pretty big nonprofit. You do a lot. So you folks are just doing the nutritional piece, and I know that at the PNC you serve our congregate meals to our seniors.
Yes.
And so I see those meals quite often, and they look delicious, I have to say. Are they cooked on site, or how are those meals made?
So all our meals are produced in a commissary that's located in Bosworth, Connecticut. They're all nutritious and safely prepared meals, especially for seniors. We have to be very careful about how we prepare them for safety reasons.
And how do you plan your menu?
So we sit down and we have it's basically a 4-week cycle menu is what we call it. Meals change every day. And we go with the seasons, so we incorporate fresh ingredients in our meals. In the summertime, we try to produce salads. And in the fall, spring, or early spring, and winter, we provide soup as a supplemental to our menus.
That's nice. And I think that, sometimes, probably when Meals on Wheels started, I remember it from like the 80s. It's even when people had TV dinners, if, I'm kind of dating myself there, but remember that, and I can say the food is so much different now than when we think back of those kinds of meals. So, Gina, you are in charge of getting volunteers for the program.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
So, how does that work?
Well, if someone is 55 years or older,
Okay.
Such as our wonderful volunteer here, Janet, if they have a desire that they would like to deliver a meal, they can do it all around their schedule. We have different routes, Monday through Friday, that people can go out. It's maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour commitment. We have some wonderful volunteers. We have people can do it in teams if they like. We have husbands and wives do it. One drives, the other one goes up and greets the person. You can do it for community service. They would just need to contact us. They would become a volunteer with our retired and senior volunteer program. And it's a great program.
So, and I also see a lot of your volunteers at the PNC, because that's one of our sites.
Yes.
Where, and I do notice there are a lot of teams coming in, husbands and wives.
There
which is
is.
nice.
It
That's
is.
kind of a
Yeah.
bonding experience,
It's
right?
great, yeah. They retire together and they're both
Yeah.
looking for something to do. Janet's also brought her grandson with her, which has
Oh,
been
really?
great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
what
she
a
can
great
probably
way for
talk
him
about
to
that.
see you serving, right?
It was wonderful.
So, Gina, what made you decide to be a volunteer?
Well, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for older adults, as I like to call them, and now that I'm one myself, even more so. And in my working life, I actually worked with seniors and disabled folks, so I've been very aware of the program for many, many years, and realized how wonderful it was. And when my husband and I moved back to Connecticut a few years ago, I was looking for a volunteer opportunity, since I am now retired, and this was the first thing that came to my mind. And it's just wonderful, and it's both inspiring. The people that we serve are so grateful for not only the meal, but just the contact, which is another good part of this program. You can actually face-to-face, and I love the training because it tells us if someone doesn't answer the door, then your job is to call the TVCCA office and say, so-and-so isn't home today, will you check on them or, make contact with their emergency contact? So it's a two-pronged service, and as I, always say too, and most volunteer opportunities do have this other sort of feeling attached to it, that you go in thinking you're going to provide a service, but you get so much more out of it. And I would, and it's such a short time commitment, and so for anyone who's interested in looking for any volunteer, that doesn't take a lot of time, but is satisfying for both yourself and the person you serve. I highly recommend it.
So for the time commitment, you come to the PNC at what time? typically?
Okay, so we are supposed to leave by 10:30, so generally by 10:20.
Okay.
Just check over the route sheet, and if they're new clients, we can go over with that with the coordinator there. And then it's probably an hour and a half tops to deliver the meals, because we are obligated to be sure the clients receive them hot,
Right.
Which the way they're packed wonderfully, that's not ever a problem. And so it's about an hour and a half. But for me personally, as a volunteer, it's probably a 3-hour commitment by the time I leave my house and get back home. But I mean, once a week, and sometimes not even that, because I do partner with another wonderful volunteer.
Oh, so
which
you do it
works
once a
out
week.
great too.
That does work
Yeah.
out. That does work out.
Yes.
Because sometimes people go away for certain
Exactly.
seasons, and then you
Yes.
both know the route.
Right.
And how many people do you usually deliver to?
I generally between 11 and 15, but lately it's been more probably 11. But
Wow.
That 11, it's not really 11 stops, because sometimes we have couples. So that also,
Oh,
works out.
true.
Yes.
Right. Wow.
Yes.
Couples who are homebound.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'll ask you, Gina, what kinds of people generally ask for Meals on Wheels to be delivered?
The people who are homebound are 60 years and older, and they don't drive anymore. We have all different types of people. I went out with one of the volunteers last week just to see, what was involved in the route, and there was a World War II veteran. He has family in the area who checks on him, but seeing that volunteer once a day is huge, and he's in his 90s, so all different types of people who are living alone. Like Janet said, there might be some couples, but that could be the only person that they see all day or even all week.
Right.
So it really is wonderful to see the relationships between the volunteers. And
So it really is more than just receiving a meal. It's more than the food. It's the human
Right.
contact,
For sure.
right? And or
Absolutely.
even just knowing I'm not feeling well, but I know that Janet's going to be here tomorrow. So if I don't answer the door, that's a fear for a lot of people.
Oh,
Probably a lot of
yes.
people who are watching the show right now, who when you are living alone, you do get nervous.
Right.
So it's and that's part of what we try to do on Neighborhood News is let people know two things. One, how they can get out and help their neighbor, like Janet's doing. And number two, how you can receive help if you need it. And what I've noticed working for a food pantry at the PNC is so many people will say, well, I don't want to come in, someone else might need it more than I do, or I don't really, but they do. And you know what, that's what we're here for.
Right.
And like Janet was saying, we get so much more out of it when we can help someone, when we're at a point in our life when we can help, because we've all been on the other side where maybe we need some help, right? So it's the circle of life. It just depends on where you're at that particular time. So Eugene, I wanted to ask you, where does the funding come from for Meals on Wheels?
So we're funded through the Older Americans Act, which is
Oh.
a federal fund.
Okay.
And then that gets funneled down to the state. There's 9 agencies like ours throughout the state of Connecticut. So based on the size of the agency, determines how much money you get.
Okay.
But we're partially funded, so it does not cover the entire cost of the meal preparation, labor, and everything else. So we do ask for a voluntary contribution from the individual that's receiving the meal.
Okay.
And we also rely on funding, grants,
Okay.
and then we also do fundraising as well.
Okay, so just talking about fundraising, do you have a general big fundraiser every year, or how does that work?
We do. We actually have several. We have right now, it's March, so we're doing a buy a wheel for and goes out into local grocery stores. People can buy a wheel for $1.
Okay.
We also just had a Subaru, did Share the Love.
Yep.
So Secor Subaru is we're their neighborhood charity.
Right, that's great, yeah.
And that helped to raise a little over $26,000 for Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, they raised money for PNC too. They're a
Yes,
great
they are.
organization.
And our big fundraiser is it's a gala that we do called Carnivale. We partner with Mohegan Sun. We have local chefs that come in to prepare food. So it's set up as stations. And we have a silent auction. We have baskets that are actually assembled by community senior centers. So there's that nice participation with that. And then we have the DJ that comes in. So it's a fun evening.
It is. And you can get some good deals with those baskets. It's fun.
Exactly.
It's a lot of fun.
And it just celebrates what we do as an organization.
Oh, what's the date of that event this year?
This year it'll be May 30th, Saturday, May 30th.
And how would people get tickets to that?
Actually, if you visit tvcca.org
Okay.
and just scroll down on the home page, there's actually a whole section for Carnivale where you can purchase tickets.
So I know that we've donated baskets as part of one of the senior centers that you provide the wonderful congregate meals for. What other senior centers get meals from you?
We have 33 senior centers throughout
Wow.
Eastern Connecticut.
Okay.
So we have New London Senior Center, Stonington.
Right.
We have
That's a lot.
Pawcatuck, and then all the way up to the eastern part, the northern part of.
So you go all the way up to like Putnam.
Correct.
Wow, so that's great. And I can say for what we see with the congregate meals, it's the same with Meals on Wheels. It's a lot more than just the meal. It's people having a chance to come together and share a meal together.
Correct.
So you're not eating
Socialization.
alone. And even with the congregate meals, you have the salad and the soup, and it's a lot of food,
It is.
actually. So it's very nice. So part of my program is I always ask people what made them choose their course in life. So I'm going to start with Eugene. How did you end up being the Director of Nutrition Services?
Well, I guess as you go through life, you don't know where you're going to wind up, right?
That's true.
I started in the industry as a chef and have done many different jobs, held many positions. But I came across TVCCA and quite honestly not really knowing what it was. But as I investigated it more and just saw what we do as an agency, it sounded like it was something that I really was like me. It's something that wanted to give back. I've worked for not-profits for many years, and like Jenna was saying, it's just when people hear about Meals on Wheels, they immediately know what that is, and they have very nice things to say about it.
For sure.
It's very rewarding.
And had you been a nutritionist, or what was your experience with food?
Well, I was I'm a chef. I went to the CIA
Oh, wow.
many years ago.
Yeah.
But that was my interest in food. So I'm not a registered dietitian, but our menus are certified by a registered dietitian. So.
But I always find that fascinating when I'm asking people that question, because like you said, we all kind of have an interest that we gravitate towards. So yours was cooking,
Correct.
but you never know where that's going to go.
Right.
And that's another reason why I like to mention it on the show, because sometimes when you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking about what can I do that's a little bit more fulfilling with my life? And certainly being a chef must be very fulfilling because it's so creative. But working in nonprofit, there's just, you kind of get hooked. I found that myself as well, because like you, Janet, I had actually gone a different route for my education, but when my children were small, I started delivering meals with a movable feast in New London.
Yes.
And once I started, I could never stop. I love working for nonprofits. Yeah. It's very rewarding. And so Gina, how did you get into working for a nonprofit?
I had moved from Boston, and I was in the healthcare field, and I wanted to do something more with working with families and kind of the social work aspect of it, and I had gone to TVCCA, in fact, to the commissary on a writing assignment, because I'm also a freelance writer, and it was a volunteer recognition event, and I soaked up the atmosphere, and all the volunteers just loved the agency, and I spoke to some of the staff. This was before Eugene's time, but and I decided I needed job, so let me apply, and I started off as a program coordinator 5 years ago, and our director retired last year, so I applied for that position, and here I am, and I love it. I get to work with great people like Janet, and
And how many volunteers do you work with, Gina?
we have currently about 170 volunteers in all different roles. Meals on Wheels is just one of the opportunities. We also have opportunities for people to shop for someone, to visit with people who are homebound. We also host 6 veteran coffee houses, so we have volunteers go in there as well and help facilitate the meetings. We have opportunities for people to be classroom assistants in our Head Start and Little Learner facilities. So we have a lot of opportunities. And
So if someone wanted to volunteer for like the little learners, for example, would they go to the website and just hit volunteer, or
they could, or they can contact me.
Okay.
And hopefully, I think Frank has put my contact information up there, but they can
Yes, he
check our
has.
website as
Yeah.
well as, call me directly, call our program coordinator. They can email me, and depending on what their interest is, just like Janet is also a shopper for us.
Oh, you are, yeah.
So she's kind of has a dual role around the delivering meals. She delivers meals, and then she also shops for a young disabled woman in Pawcatuck, and so she does that, once or twice a month?
Twice, sometimes 3 times,
Yeah.
depending. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
so is it, what's that like? Do you shop, or do you both go together?
We
or
go
do-
together.
Okay.
I think there's an option of shopping and delivering, but with my client, she comes with me, and we've developed a very nice relationship. And again, it gets her out.
Definitely.
Because otherwise, she is homebound. And so we go to various places wherever she wants to go. Again, it's really a short commitment. We're out no more than 2 hours, and she's just so grateful and appreciates. And again, we've just developed a very nice friendship, which I feel like I've done with everyone that I've delivered meals to too. And I look as forward to seeing them as to getting the food.
Now, do you go food shopping, or where do
We
you
do,
Okay.
and sometimes to the pharmacy.
Okay.
And once in a while, she'll have a package, an Amazon package she wants to drop off at CVS. So we
Oh,
do
how
that.
nice to be able to go out and do
So it's
errands
really,
together.
she sets the agenda for the day
Right,
as to what we
right.
do. But,
So I would imagine that you're shopping mainly for people who just aren't able to drive.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's either our participants are 65 years and older and/or
Okay.
disabled. And we see a lot of younger and younger people
Yes.
that are 100% disabled, they don't drive. And if it wasn't for our volunteers visiting or shopping with and for them, they would have no way to get their groceries, do their errands.
So if people are looking for ways to go out shopping, they could contact you at TVCCA.
They can.
Other ways that they can do that is our senior center, for example, we have a van, and folks go out in a group, and they will go to grocery shopping, like you said, the pharmacy, they might go to the bank, and it's funny because it's a lot more than shopping. They tend to become friends, because we all do. You're in,
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
and I remember one woman in particular, she told me, she said, I had never even been in any kind of public transportation, like not a train, not a bus. She had a car, and suddenly she was in a van with these other people, and she said, I thought we had nothing in common, but like we all ended up becoming friends. And it just goes to show, it's like the time in your life, you never know what's going to happen. So I would encourage anyone, if you do need help shopping, to contact your senior center or TVCCA. Those are 2 really good sources where you can find some help with shopping. And Janet, before the show, I think you shared that you had a personal reason why you wanted to do Meals on Wheels.
Yes, well, as you mentioned, in the 80s, my grandmother was a recipient, probably one of the first, of Meals on Wheels. And I remember how much she appreciated it, and the fact that someone was coming to, check on her. And as I mentioned too, it was reassuring for us as a family, even though we were close by and we could, check on her in the evening, but either as a parent or, our child or grandchild, just knowing that she was receiving a hot meal during the day was very reassuring. And again, that there was another person checking on her. So when we moved back to Connecticut and I was thinking about things to do, I said, we called her Gangy. So I said, I remember how Gangy loved this program. So maybe I can, be
Right,
of service in
yeah.
that way too.
Yeah, and I think we see that a lot, generationally. That's another thing I've noticed in the program, that when you ask people why they do something, there's always someone in their family that got them, who was a volunteer. Was anyone in your family ever a volunteer, Eugene, or worked for a nonprofit?
No. I guess I'm the exception.
Breaking the mold there. First in history on Neighborhood News. Gina, what about you?
My dad has always been active
Oh, yeah.
in, giving back, and
Yeah.
he is on the board of the South Park Inn in Hartford.
Oh.
So I remember him bringing us during their holiday meals when we were kids to help serve at the homeless shelter.
Right.
And so I'll never forget that. I don't think my brother liked it, but I didn't mind it. So
Must have been very young.
we were young. We were elementary, grade school,
Wow, yeah,
and
things strike you.
he just wanted
Right.
us to learn to give back. So
And Janet, you bring your grandson. How old is he?
Yes, well, he's a senior in high school now.
Oh, nice.
And so as many kids have to these days, or encouraged to, I should say, do volunteer service hours. And so this summer I asked Gina, would it be okay if I bring my grandson? And the most hysterical thing about that, he's very good looking. But besides that, of course, all the older women were so taken with him. The next time they came, like, where is he? So I told him, next summer you have to come and do this again. But it was, great for him too. And he was so surprised how much he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Plus it was, I think it was almost like hurricane-like weather the day he was with me.
Yeah.
And so he got a real taste of what it was like, but he really enjoyed it. And my husband has come with me a couple of times. And in fact, one day he actually subbed for me. And later in the day, he went to give blood, and the woman taking his blood said, wow, your blood pressure is great. And she said, I wonder why. I said, well, I had such a good day, and I felt so good about delivering these meals. So again, that's, you
Yeah.
get so much more out of it
Yeah.
than you get for sure.
But to be a volunteer, you do have to be 55 and over. Is that right, Gina? Did you say
with
that?
our program,
With
the
your
retired
program.
and senior
Okay,
volunteer program,
okay,
right,
okay,
right.
yeah.
And we do
What-
have some younger volunteers. I want to give a plug
Yes.
for our group of Navy men and women that come to the PNC on
Yeah.
Thursdays, and
Yes.
they deliver out of both Mystic and Stonington. And you were talking about good-looking, your grandson. This is a group of really good-looking men and women that come in their uniforms, and they knock on the door, and they've
They're awesome. They help
they're
us too. They bring a lot of
fantastic.
muscle. They'll do whatever you need. They're so
Yeah.
organized, number
Yes,
one.
yeah. So the people
isn't that
love
great?
seeing them come
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just feel a sense of community when they do that.
Pride too in what they're doing for us. It's really wonderful. Yeah.
We also have volunteers as well in New London Senior Center. They have the Coast Guard actually
Right.
volunteers there.
Oh, really?
well.
Serving meals or doing Meals on Wheels?
I'm doing actually packing and,
Okay.
and doing Meals on Wheels.
Wonderful.
And we
wonderful.
also, through the Senior Nutrition Program, which is a little bit different than the RSVP program, we also have volunteers ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have, in probably counting what Gina has, but we have about 250 volunteers.
So what
that
do those volunteers do?
Delivering Meals on Wheels strictly.
Oh, really?
Correct. So in
Wow.
other areas. of the
And you
state.
could be younger than
And you can be
55
younger.
for his program. For
Oh,
my
good.
program,
Okay, so let's
Yes.
clarify.
Yes.
If you're interested in delivering meals, you do not have to be, I don't want to say older. Because,
Nope.
mature.
yes, exactly.
Sure. There you go.
Okay, so did we hit everything? Is there anything else we did? You all, it's a wonderful program. You do so much for the community. Thank you so much. I can say I've seen these meals. I see them 3 times a week, 5 times a week actually for the ones that are delivered. And they are delicious and wonderful volunteers who, like you said, you're out every, no matter what the weather is.
Yeah.
Whether it's cold or hot, you're delivering. So thank you so much for all that you do for us. And that concludes Neighborhood News. We'll see you next time. Thank you.